Hello, today we will talk about the section 2. In this section, we will talk about the evolution of China's attitude towards inward FDI. Before the start of reforms and the opening up of the country, China rejected the flow of foreign capital. There were four main reasons. The first one was economic blockades in Western countries. Secondly, the breakup of Sino-Soviet relations. Thirdly, the influence of two opposing ideologies. Fourthly, the influence of great power consciousness. First one, the economic blockades in Western countries. The economic blockades imposed on China by Western countries led by the United States closed the door on China's use of capital from Western capitalist countries. This was an objective factor limiting China's access. The country's reforms were implemented as well as the opening up of the economy. Secondly, the breakup of Sino-Soviet relations. The breakup of Sino-Soviet relations brought about a fundamental change in China's attitude towards foreign investment, such that it overemphasized the role of domestic self-reliance. This line of thought greatly hindered the utilization of foreign capital in China. Thirdly, the influence of two opposing ideologies. When considering the use of foreign capital, China excessively linked the use of foreign capital with the opposing ideologies of socialism and capitalism. This also affected the development of China's use of foreign capital prior to reforming and opening up the economy. China's viewpoint on this was that because of the opposition between the two ideologies, socialist countries could not make full use of foreign capital assistance from capitalist countries, and there were also contradictions between socialist countries in this regard. Fourthly, the influence of great power consciousness. Blind great power consciousness led to China not only refusing foreign aid, but also to implementation of its own large-scale foreign aid programs. In 1967, China's foreign aid expenditure was 1.994 billion yuan, accounting for 4.5% of its fiscal expenditure. In 1972, foreign aid expenditure reached 5.1 billion yuan, accounting for 6.7%. And in 1973, it was as high as 7.2%. During the same period, China only used foreign deposits of the Bank of China to purchase some machinery and equipment, while the absorption of foreign direct investment and loans from foreign governments was almost equal to zero. This increased the burden on the national economy, essentially making it not conducive for the introduction of foreign capital. After the Second World War, many countries were actively using foreign capital in order to develop their own economies, while China listed the use of foreign capital as a restricted area. In addition to the objective reasons such as the blockades implemented by the United States and other capitalist countries, the breakup with former Soviet Union and the destruction of the Gang of Four, there are some fundamental reasons in guiding ideology. First, it considered that the use of foreign capital does not conform to the principle of self-reliance. Second, there was a fear that use of foreign capital will expose China to exploitation and aggression. Third, there was a regard for socialism as pure and pure society. So when did China start to change its attitude? We can think of this as taking place after reform and opening up of the economy. In 1978, the third plenary session of the 11th Central Committee of the CPC decided to shift the work focus of the whole party and country to one of economic construction. In other words, economic construction played a central role in the opening up of the economy and as a basic national policy of China. As a result, the country entered a new development stage in the utilization of foreign capital. Since then, China's attitude towards foreign capital has changed from one of exclusion to one of utilization. Since the mid-1970s, China's use of foreign capital became gradually more visible, and this was due to the needs of the domestic economy for development, but also changes in the international economic situation. It is a natural trend to open up to the outside world and utilize foreign capital. From an international perspective, economic ties between countries are strengthening day by day. The flow of international capital is accelerating, and the internalization of investment projects and economic life has become a global trend. Brazil and other developing countries and the Asian Four Little Dragons have adjusted their development strategies and introduced various preferential policies to attract foreign investment. The vast number of developing countries generally demand the establishment of a new international economic order, At the same time, China has established diplomatic relations with Japan, the US, and the other Western countries, all of which provide a favorable international environment for China to open up to the outside world and utilize foreign capital. Now we will turn to FDI inflows. First of all, the historic breakthrough and the use of foreign capital in China started with the establishment of special economic zones. Deng Xiaoping once pointed out, the special zone is a window of technology, management, knowledge, and foreign policy. Technology can be introduced, knowledge can be acquired, and management can be learned. Management is also knowledge. As an open base, the special zone will not only benefit us in terms of the economy and training talents, but also expand China's external influence. On July 1, 1979, the second plenary session of the Fifth National People's Congress passed and promulgated the Law of the People's Republic of China on Sino-Foreign Joint Ventures, which began to allow foreign direct investment into China. From 1979 to 1980, the central government approved for the Guangdong and Fujian provinces to implement special policies and flexible measures for the purpose of setting up social economic zones in Shenzhen, Zhuhai, Shantou, and Xiamen. In September 1979, China's first foreign direct investment agreement was signed. This was a joint venture, China Hong Kong Beijing Aviation Food Corporation Limited. This was a historic breakthrough. Secondly, China's use of foreign capital has gradually expanded from point to line. Deng Xiaoping pointed out, coastal areas should speed up in opening to the outside world so that this vast area with a population of 200 million can develop rapidly, thus driving the mainland to develop better. In May 1983, the State Council held the first national conference on the utilization of foreign capital, which summarized the initial experience since opening up to the outside world. In 1984 and 85, the State Council successively decided to open a further 14 coastal port cities, including Shanghai, Tianjin, Dalian, Qingdao, and Guangzhou, and to open the Yangtze River Delta, Pearl River Delta, Xiamen, Zhangzhou, and Quanzhou triangular areas in the southern Fujian as coastal economic open areas. Preferential policies were implemented for the utilization of foreign capital in these cities and regions. At the same time, a series of measures were introduced to support authorities in their approval for local foreign investment, and legislation was gradually improved. In 1988, the CPC Central Committee and the State Council decided to expand coastal economic zones up to the Liaotong Peninsula, Shandong Peninsula, and some of the cities and counties in other coastal areas. Establishment of Hainan Province and Hainan Special Economic Zone was approved. In 1990, the central government approved policies for technological and special economic zones in Shanghai, Pudong. This was promoted with the use of foreign capital by special economic zones along the coast. The open zone must further widen to form a thick open zone, the main coastal line. Various preferential locations were constructed for foreign direct investment, such as special economic zones, coastal economic open zones, new districts, and state-level development zones. The area for foreign capital is expanding from point to line. Thirdly, the utilization of foreign capital from line to surface was in full swing. The Southern Speech strengthened China's reform and path and opening up. This was a historic moment. At the beginning of 1992, Deng Xiaoping inspected the South and delivered an important speech, affirming that the market is a means of source allocation in a socialist economy. The plan and the market is not the essential difference between socialism and capitalism, but criteria for reform and opening up is to see whether it is conducive to productivity, whether it is conducive to comprehensive national strength, whether it is conducive to improving China's living standards. In October of the same year, a report by the 14th National Congress of the Communist Party of China put forward the idea of building a socialist market economy, which cleared the ideological barriers to the development of the market economy, ended the debate surrounding names such as the capital and society, and theoretically cleared the barriers to the use of foreign capital. This played a vital role in the opening up of China. China's use of foreign capital has changed from international indirect investment to direct investment, and wholly owned enterprises have become the dominant mode instead of joint ventures. In 1992, the share of foreign direct investment increased from 37.79% in 1991 to 57.3%. which surpassed direct investment for the first time and became the main form of foreign capital utilization in China. And then on December 11, 2001, China officially became a member of the WTO, which has a far-reaching and significant impact on the use of foreign capital. China would participate in international economic cooperation and competition in a wider range of fields. China would change from opening up in a limited scope and field to opening up in all directions. The policy opening characterized by pilot has changed into institutional opening under the legal framework, from a unilateral self-opening to a two-way opening with WTO members country, from passively accepting international trade rules to actively participating in the formulation of international trade rules. With the scale of foreign capital utilization in China increasing and accelerating, the moderate scale of foreign capital utilization has attracted widespread attention. Since 2002, foreign direct investment in China has continued at a steady growth. In 2002, the actual utilization of foreign capital reached 52.743 billion US dollars, exceeding 50 billion US dollars, 60 billion US dollars in 2004, and 70 billion US dollars in 2007, reaching 74.768 billion US dollars. China ranked first for foreign direct investment across developing countries for 15 consecutive years and ranked first in the world in 2003, creating a miracle for developing countries to utilize foreign capital. So will the inflow of FDI necessarily benefit China? Let's think about it. It is obvious to all that the entry of foreign capital into China has brought abundant capital, advanced technology, and scientific management methods and concepts, which has played an important role in promoting China's economic development, especially in the eastern coastal areas. The rapid development of foreign capital in the economy has undoubtedly played an important role in making up China's construction funds. It has improved China's technical equipment and quality of products and enhanced China's international competitiveness. It is also an important positive factor in China's economic construction. At present, foreign capital plays an increasingly important role in China's economy. Through analysis, it can be clearly seen that the foreign capital has become an important force that cannot be ignored in China's fixed asset investment, foreign trade, and employment. At the same time, there are some problems in the process of foreign capital participating in China's economic construction. In the 1980s, especially the scale of FDI in China expanded rapidly. Some foreign investors often attacked partners, squeezed national industries, wasted traditional Chinese famous brands, seeked and abused monopoly advantages, and harmed consumer interests through proper or improper means. While the presence of foreign capital has made remarkable achievements, academic circles and relevant departments have expressed great concerns about these situations. Many scholars have conducted in-depth research on this and triggered discussion on foreign capital within a certain range. In these studies and discussions, many scholars also put forward the foreign capital utilization is also a double-edged sword, which will not only produce huge technology spillover effect, but will also produce technology introversion effect. It not only brings us some positive effects, but it also brings us some negative effects. Therefore, we will now discuss the positive and negative effects of FDI inflows. Positive effects of foreign direct investment, especially in China: increased capital supply and made up of construction funds. Secondly, increased fiscal revenue and increased foreign exchange reserves. Thirdly, promote economic growth and enhanced economic vitality. Fourthly, promoted the adjustment, upgrading, and optimization of the economic structure. Fifth, introduced technology and improved the level of research and development. Sixthly, promoted ideas, change, and triggered system innovation. Seventhly, increased employment opportunities, trained individuals, introduced and accumulated management experience. And the last, promoted the reunification of motherland and the development of multilateral relations. Now, we can discuss some negative effects of foreign direct investment in China. Foreign capital replaces domestic capital, resulting in idle domestic assets. Secondly, seeking monopoly positions, impacting national industries and endangering national economic security. Thirdly, economic growth becomes dependent on foreign capital, which damages economic autonomy and stability. Fourthly, affects the balance of payments and weakens the implementation of monetary policy. Fifthly, evasion of taxes and fees, damaging the rights and interests of the state and Chinese partners. Sixthly, It could intensify the industrial and regional economic imbalances and restrict the optimization and adjustments to the economic structure. So these are all the positive and negative effects of the inward FDI inflow in the China. This section ends here. Thank you for your time.